And just like that, we're live. Common Sense Buffs, what's up? What's up? What's up? We are back again for a special weekend edition live. Thank you so much for tuning in. The purpose of these live sessions is for community building. The content is going to be there, of course, but it's really about you as a way of me saying thank you to all members of the community, people who've joined the channel, people who've commented throughout the week, people who've watched the video, and they are ready to let their thoughts be heard. This show is all about you. So we're going to get real active and interactive in the chat. I want you to kind of co-create this with me, co-produce this show with me since it is live. Now, high level, we do have an agenda for what we want to talk about. Number one, we want to acknowledge, celebrate the fact that we're now over 400 subscribers. That is a huge achievement. It is not easy. It requires work, but most of all, it requires support of a community who believes in what you're doing. So big shout out to you guys. All throughout the stream, we'll be shouting out people who follow the channel, people who have commented, the things that they've commented, the reactions that they've had to the video that we dropped this week, and just showing y'all some love because you guys are showing me so much love. So I appreciate you. We're going to do that. Then we're also going to talk about summer workouts and what you guys are seeing on Well Off, Reach the People Media, and the pregame show. You know what? I can't remember all the stuff I need to talk about. Yeah, so we're going to get your reaction to all that stuff. Let me make some notes here. Let me be professional like a real newscaster and really cover everything that I promised to cover. You guys see I got the shades. The shades are in honor of 400 subscribers. I might hit my celly one or two times, man. I appreciate you guys so much. All right, so we said we're going to celebrate 400 subs. We're going to talk about what you guys see and what you're most excited about when it comes to summer workouts. Of course, I'm going to give you guys my defensive starters for the Colorado Buffs post spring game. We'll also talk about some potential impact players. So maybe not starting, but definitely are competing to get some playing time. We're going to talk about them. And then we'll just have a lot of fun. Shout you guys out, have conversations as the show goes. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen here. And one of the first things I need your help with, because that's how we're going to do the roster, and I'm going to keep track of who my starters are, is I'm going to share my screen. And let's see what that looks like. So let me test this out. Thank you guys so much for coming in here. Go ahead and hit the like button on your way in so that this information can get out to other people who would be interested. I'm sure, sometimes you have a slow content Sunday, even for Colorado. So it might be a slow content Sunday out there. So more people might want some Colorado Buffaloes content. All right, let me see what this thing looks like. All right, it doesn't look too bad. All right, so this is how I intend to do the roster. We're going to have all the defensive positions. And then next to that, we're going to have some of the substitutions. Of course, our defense is led by defensive coordinator Robert Livingston. Coach Prime was very smart to get him under contract. I'm sure a lot of teams were trying to recruit him away for a head coaching job, which is certainly in his future. And so it's good that he's locked in with the Buffs for at least a year, maybe more. In the chat, please let me know how long it is Robert Livingston's contract. Let me go ahead and pull it up. Maybe we'll just educate ourselves, right? Because we want to be an educated community. We don't just want to be out here saying stuff, especially when people are trying to argue with you without doing their own research. So let's take a look. Rob Livingston, Colorado and Coach Prime secured his contract, or he secured a 2-year deal through the 2026 season. So he will be the defensive coordinator in 2025, the season that we're going into now. And he will be there for at least the 2026 season. And having that kind of guarantee as the recruiting team is out there talking to these five-star players about players on the defensive side of the ball when they're making a commitment, it's good to know that, let's say, if you're coming in this 2025 class, you know what kind of defense you're going to be playing under. And then for those who are going to be recruited for the 2026 class, you also are familiar with the kind of defense you're going to be running. And when that coach is talking to you about why you should come to Colorado, you can feel confident that that coach is going to be around. So kudos to Colorado Coach Prime for securing Rob Livingston on a 2-year deal. All right. So let's jump in. I'm going to give you a defensive starter. We're going to do some research on that player. And then I might pause. We'll talk a little bit about summer workouts. I might go back. I might reflect on some of the comments and some of the progress that we made this week. So this is going to be a fluid thing. At least that's the goal. So if you're liking that, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and jump in the comments and let me know how you feel. All right. So first up, let's talk about this Colorado Buffalo edge room. And I always forget the coach's name, who coaches the edges. I'm gonna have to look it up. He came over from Michigan. I think he was an assistant last year, and now he's the defensive end coach. But let's just start off the top. And this player, I think, is probably one of the top defensive players on this team. My understanding is that his dad played for Colorado as well. Let's make this a little bit smaller. I think I gave it away there. Right? That's none other than Arden Walker. I think from the 2023 season to the 2020, going into the 2024 season, I don't think a lot of people had Arden Walker as the kind of impact player that he ended up being in 2024 on that defensive line. Now, I believe the Colorado Buffaloes led the Big 12 in sacks last year. And that was in no small part to Arden Walker's play. And so not only is he a good player, he's just a good teammate. And he's completely bought in, right? Not only because he's a legacy, but because, you know, it's like anything in life. If you decide this is the place where I want to be, this is where I'm going to make my commitment, and this is where I intend to really do my best work. When you have a player who's all bought in like that, not only is he going to show you what he can do on the field, but he's also going to make sure that his teammates feel like he's the kind of example that they should follow. So looking at Arden Walker 2024 statistics, he had 33 total tackles. He had 23 solo tackles and 10 assists. He had 4.5 sacks. And he had a forced fumble as well. So some of his best games in terms of tackles and sacks, Texas Tech. Against Texas Tech, which the Colorado Buffaloes won 41-27, Arden Walker had 7 tackles, 6 solo, 1 assisted, and he had 2 sacks that game. So he was absolutely playing with his hair on fire, and I think he's only going to continue to get better. He's only going to continue to get better. All right, let me see if I could make some adjustments here. I don't know if I can edit in Canva in presentation mode. I want this to look really good for you guys. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit more because I'm checking my screen. I'm checking your screen. And I think we could do better. We could do better. Yeah, we could do better. All right, guys, we're going to keep getting better. So expect that the next live stream, I'll have this side of the live stream figured out. Okay, so we'll keep going into the stats. What were some other big games for him? Let's see. Against some legit competition here. Against BYU, he had 2 tackles in that game. Against Kansas, he had 2 tackles in that game. But against Utah, he had 3 tackles, And he was credited for half a sack, and he had a sack against Oklahoma State as well. So I think he was just really getting his feet wet last year. I expect more than 4.5 sacks out of Arden Walker this year. All right, what are you guys' thoughts at starting Arden Walker at edge? Do you think I'm on? I'm off? I don't know what I'm talking about. There are better players in that defensive end room who would be more impactful than Arden Walker. Go ahead and let your thoughts and feelings be known. That is just my assessment. All right, defensive tackle. Got to make sure I spell this right. I think the last name is spelled, I think it's Jaheim Otis, but I'm going to check my spelling on this. And so this is the Alabama transfer, the big man in the middle, brought over because Colorado and Coach Prime wanted to add some size to that defensive line. So even though we were one of the better defensive lines in the Big 12, I think what Coach Prime was focused on in terms of the future of Colorado football is that he wanted a defensive line with size and athleticism to stuff the run, which would give his edge rushers an opportunity to get to the quarterback. So Jaheim Otis, let's look at his statistics from his time at or with the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I'll check the spelling of his name. All right. Well, and at the time he committed, and he wasn't even in the portal that long. That's how good of a player you are when as soon as you hit the portal, you already have secured an opportunity at your next school. And at the time, I think he was the number one defensive lineman in the portal when he hit the portal prior to the spring. So Jaheim Otis. So I have his name now spelled correctly. Let's go ahead and see what we're talking about, Mr. Otis, when it comes to stats. So I love for the interior lineman to be big but mobile, be clog the line of scrimmage, cause problems in the run game, disrupt the quarterback's timing, and of course, be able to get those hands up and bat the ball down. So let's look at Jaheim Otis's numbers. Oh, I do have it spelled wrong. Let me fix that. Jaheim Otis, when he played for the statistics first. Height, 6'5", 325 pounds, out of Columbia, Mississippi. Freshman season, well, he played looks like 3 seasons here for Alabama. In 2022, he had 29 total tackles. In 2023, he had 26 total tackles, and in 2024, he only had 2 tackles. So something must have happened over those 3 years where he maybe didn't get as much playing time, or he wasn't certainly as productive as he was in previous years. At least that's what the statistics here say. However, he's one of those guys who has the NFL frame, and he has tremendous upside. And so coming over to Colorado, you can see why, coming off a 2024 season where he may have underperformed from a statistics standpoint. It looks like those 2 tackles only has 2 games throughout the season where he has even anything registered in terms of statistics. That was an August game against WKU and a September game against USF. So it's not like he started all 12 games or something and he just didn't have the statistics. He only played in 2 games. And we don't even know how much time he got when he did get in the game in those 2 games. So I think for him, or if I'm kind of thinking and putting myself in his shoes, I would be thinking, okay, I'm coming off of 2024. I have the legitimate tools to be a great, impactful player, maybe potentially an All-American, and get myself into the NFL. Where can I go and develop plus have the opportunity to be seen, the spotlight? And so I'm liking Jaheim Otis at one of those interior defensive line positions. All right, so we got Flo here coming through with the comment. Have you seen the film study on DJ McKinney? He has talent but is lazy. All right. Well, let me ask you this question. Do you mean lazy off the field, like he's not putting the work in off the field, or he's not going all out on the field, meaning he's not doing everything he can to make plays on the field? Both things are important. I just want to make sure before I make my comment. What do you mean? Where is he lazy? All right, so that's my pick for defensive tackle. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Speaking of summer workouts, one of the things I did observe about Jaheim Oatis was Coach Swayze is putting those boys through the ringer, and the first couple of days have been rough. But that's about accountability, right? That Colorado is going to show both the good and players just the real grind of playing football. Not every day you're going to show up, you're going to be a superstar. Some days you're going to struggle. And we all as human beings have our strengths and weaknesses. And so helping these guys get into shape is only going to help them in their career. And that's one of those things, right? If you're going to play, you're going to start, you're going to be on the field, you need to be in shape. So big up to Jaheim Oatis for putting that work in, trying to get in shape. All right, welcome. I see more of y'all in here. Go ahead and hit that like button as you come in. We're celebrating over 400 subscribers. I feel like YG, 400. All right, let's keep this thing going. Who's my next defensive star? Should I jump around? Yeah, I think I should jump around because I need to cause a little bit of controversy here. Let me see how I make this. Oh, I can do that. There we go. All right, let's jump around. So we got two defensive linemen. I think we should go to the DBs since we are talking about in the comments DJ McKinney, right? I don't think there's any argument there. But what Flo is saying is I'm a bit concerned about Mr. McKinney because the word on the street is that he's lazy. Well, here's the thing. I mean, the question that comes to mind when you say that is, will Coach Prime allow a lazy player to start? And from all indications, I don't think he plays favoritism like that. You know how some coaches are like, hey, this is a big name player. He came over from, I think he came over from Oklahoma State. Let me look him up. We need to stroke his ego just to make sure he doesn't transfer. I don't think it's one of those situations. I think DJ McKinney is a leader on that team. I think he's bought ready cornerback. I don't see the during spring practices. That's the wrong team to be lazy on because you will get exposed by those wide receivers in practice. And so I will respectfully disagree with Flo and either their assessment of his film study or a commentator's assessment of his film study calling him lazy. I don't think I would use that to describe DJ McKinney. How is my okay? All right, I appreciate it because I'm feeling like maybe I got a little bit of a slow connection here. So it says, old school says, you are putting in good work, young man. Keep up the good work. I hit like and I subscribed last month. Congratulations on 400. Hey man, I appreciate that. You know, I'm trying my hand. You know how sometimes God gives you a talent and you're like, okay, let me see what I could do with this talent. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to say like, okay, do I have the gift of gab? Can I break it down? Can I keep a audience entertained? Can I give perspective? Can I be nimble on my feet? So y'all are watching me develop in real time, and I appreciate that. So big shout out to you, old school. We're gonna mix the new school with the old school, and we're gonna keep it on point. All right, let's look at DJ McKinney 2024 statistics. So okay, good. I gotta be careful with I'm not sharing this screen because sometimes the videos will play and then the stream will get shut down. All right. Let's look at 2024 numbers. 61 total tackles. Doesn't seem lazy to me. Seems like a corner who's going to come up and run support and make a play. Now, Coach Prime has a joke about this too, which, I mean, obviously Coach Prime has the experience, he has the knowledge, but he makes the comparison like you don't really want to be a corner with a lot of tackles because that means they're throwing the ball to your side a lot, and the receiver is making the catch, and now you have to tackle him. It's not just in run support. However, on the other side of DJ McKinney was Travis Hunter, and ain't nobody throwing over there. Right. I think there were only like one occasion I can remember personally where Travis Hunter got beat on a deep ball for a touchdown. Otherwise, nobody is throwing over there. All right. So DJ McKinney statistics, 61 total tackles, 43 solos. So he's not afraid to come up and hit and be a short tackler. And that's one of the things I noticed about the Buffs secondary in 2024. They were short tacklers, right? Even though guys would get to the third level, second or third level, they were great in run support. So yeah, one forced fumble. Yeah, one fumble recovery, 3 interceptions. He dropped, I think, at least one that I can remember. So he should have had more interceptions than this. He returned them for 41 yards. One of them he took for a touchdown. I think that one was against Oklahoma State. Let's look at some of his best games here. Against Texas Tech. I guess everybody was against Texas Tech. He had 4 total tackles in that game. Against Utah, he had 3 tackles. Kansas, he had 3 tackles as well. So, any arguments there? DJ McKinney at DB? I don't think so. Oh, and big shout out. Let me go ahead and throw this banner up here. How I get it to scroll? Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, you guys asked for it. And it is coming soon. Reaction videos. You guys are like, hey, man, listen, you're talking about these players and why they're going to do this and why they're going to do that. Why don't you have like a video that we could watch so we could see, oh, you talk about catch radius, oh, you talk about hands, oh, you talk about athleticism. Can we see it on video? So much of the content I've been creating is just me talking at you like I'm doing now. But thanks to Bronco Edits. So this is another thing. Broncos Country Edits. This is another thing about business and just doing things the right way. So my biggest concern with putting videos on YouTube is if you don't own the content, you can get a copyright strike, right? So I was just, YouTube recommendations and stuff like that, given that I'm posting Colorado content, and I came across this channel, Broncos Country Edits. Go ahead and follow that page. All right, because he's showing me love by giving me the opportunity to use his content. So I'm going to be using Broncos Country Edits content, his highlight videos, to talk about players. So big shout out to Broncos Country Edits. Listen, if you don't ask, you don't know. I asked and he said, okay. I'm assuming it's a he or she. Never met him before, but big shout out to Broncos Country Edits. Go ahead and give that channel a follow, and then in the comments, tell him where you came from so he could feel the love. That's all he asks back in return. I just promote his channel on mine. So that's what the YouTube community should be, and that's what collaboration is. All right. So we talked about DJ McKinney at DB. We're not doing this in order. We're going to keep jumping around. Let's go to linebackers. I think this should be pretty easy if you follow this team. Martavius French. Let me make this one smaller. Martavius French. I think he's out of Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, move that around. Martavius. Well, you know what? I'm gonna put M French. Then my alignment's gonna get jacked up. All right, so we're just gonna put M French out of Memphis, Tennessee. I think he transferred from UTSA transfer, replacing Nakai Hill Green, who had an absolutely I think the best season of his college football career thus far for the Colorado Buffaloes in 2024. I believe he transferred to Alabama. So let's learn about Mr. Martavius French and his stats from last season where he played for UTSA. So while I look this up, guys, let's get active in the comments, man. What are you guys seeing in summer workouts that you are most excited about? All right. So Mr. French is 6'2", 225 pounds out of Memphis, Tennessee. Transfer from the UTSA Road Runners. That's a great mascot. The Road Runners. All right, stats 2024. I think he was one of those guys in the portal that was also very highly touted. I think UTSA is in the AAC. We have a lot of play. I think they are. Correct me if I'm wrong. We have a lot of players that transferred from the AAC to move up to Power Four football and to play for these Colorado Buffaloes. So as I think of the UTSA players, I will mention them, or it's not UTSA players, but AAC players on the team. I will mention them. Like, for example, I think Xavier Hill played for Memphis. I think Memphis is in the AAC, maybe, or are they in Conference USA? All right, hold on. Let me look this up. Now I'm curious. I need to be accurate. What conference are they in? Memphis Tigers Conference. Anybody know? Y'all not helping me out in the comments, y'all. Yep, AAC. Okay, so I'm right. I'm tracking. So Martavius French, AAC guy. Joseph Williams, AAC guy. And there are a couple others. So I'm pulling up his stats right now. All right, 2024, 80 total tackles, 52 solo, 28 assisted. He had 1 sack. And so this is a guy who's immediately coming in to start. He has 3 years of college football under his belt. Best season, so his trajectory has just season over season, he's gotten better as a football player statistically. 2022, he registered 23 total tackles. 2023, 61. In 2024, he had 80 tackles. So Mr. Martavius French. Now, I'm going to go ahead on the substitution side. So basically what I have over here is like starters. Over here, I'm going to put some guys who could make some noise and just completely blow up my list. And I'm going to go ahead and put the first person who I think it might blow up my list just right off the bat. I just want to make sure I get the proper spelling of his name. Yup, I got it. All right, so my first disruptor who could blow up this whole thing at linebacker is Kylan Salter, brother of Caden Salter. Now, speaking of summer workouts, one of the guys in summer workouts that looks like does not see himself as not a day one starter is Kylan Salter. He looks like an NFL linebacker right now. He is strong. He reminds me of Levanta Bentley right now. So let's take a look at Mr. Kylan Salter real quick. Let me see what the comments talking about. Old School says, I believe French will have a better year than any other linebackers we have had, I believe, including last season. So if he has a game as good as Nakai Hill-Green, that's a great year or better. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get to Mr. Hughes here in just a second. But I think this kid has he's looking good. He's looking good in the offseason. Prospect some additional weight. What I'm looking at here is his 24/7 sports profile. Transferred from TCU to Brothers U, Colorado. A lot of brothers playing together on that team. Why not come over with your brother and play football with him? But we need depth in that linebacker room. And I think Kylan is going to add that depth for us. So what do you guys think about Kylan Salter as a potential interrupter and impact player this season? Let me know what you guys think. All right. Okay, let's keep this thing going. All right, we'll come back to, let's go to other defensive end. Now, on the opposite side, you could make a case for a lot of guys to be on the opposite side of Arden Walker. But a guy who has already proven that he can get it done is none other than Mr. Samson. Goes by Sam Okunlola. Pittsburgh transfer, started for the Colorado Buffaloes last year. Let's go and look and go ahead. Now, a lot of guys could be slotted in here. Now, prior to transferring, I would have slotted Tajay McCoy, maybe, right? It would have been a battle on the other side, but Sam Okunlola is the guy I have lining up opposite Arden Walker. So let's look at, let's see what Mr. Okunlola is talking about. All right, defensive end for the Colorado Buffaloes, 6'4". One of the other things that's kind of hard to like recognize or realize when you're looking at these guys on camera is just how big they are. Sam Okunlola is 6'4", 245 pounds, out of Brockton, Massachusetts. Started both years. Started at Pittsburgh as a freshman, came over as a sophomore. Started for Colorado. 30 tackles, 18 solo, 12 assists, and he had 3 sacks last year. So Arden had more sacks, but I think he's going to continue to develop, Sam is, and just get even better this year, especially with the compliments that he's going to have in the middle of the field. And I think that team, because they're going to be able to stop the run, are going to have teams in third and long situations where I think these defensive ends are going to have opportunity to just pin their ear back and get after the quarterback. So Samuel Okunlola, opposite Arden Walker. All right, let's see what the comments are talking about. I like you, but he's raw. Okay, hold on. Mr. Salter. Listen, man. We'll see what happens this summer. We'll see what happens this summer. But yeah, you are right. He's going to need to develop quickly in terms of how much football he's played when you're comparing him to the other guys that I have as starters. You're absolutely right. He's going to have his work cut out for him. Nothing easy. All right, so let's keep this thing going. Hopefully you guys are enjoying yourselves. If you're enjoying yourselves, go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And let's keep this channel going. All right. Other tackle. Now, this is, you can make a case for other guys here. Amari McNeil is my guy opposite Jaheim Otis. He had flashes last year where he was scary good. There were flashes there where Amari McNeil was scary good. And he's going to put it all together this season. This is his second year under Coach Sapp as his defensive line coach. I think he's going to have a monster season. Now, this is the first player I'm going to say he's going to be in the running for some honors at the end of the season if he plays the way I know he can. And this is from the defensive tackle position, some of these statistics. And, of course, he benefited from playing opposite the block bully, who was just eating up blocks and allowed Amari to work, which is why I think this combination of Amari and Jaheim in the middle is going to be great for Amari because they're going to have to put 2 people on Jaheim Otis. All right, he's gonna be eating up 2 blocks, and so that's gonna give Amari McNeil an opportunity to do some work. All right, let's see. I think JB going to be the under linebacker prime. Didn't talk him out of the portal to sit on the bench. Okay, I got you. You know, and so, sometimes, like they say, the saying is familiarity breeds contempt. I think, you know, I might be falling for that classic cliche way, right? When somebody's around and they're old faithful, they're old reliable, you take them for granted. And so you're right. Why not talk about JB? I know he's taking second team reps right now behind French and Hughes, but why not JB? He's certainly bought in. He's certainly putting in the work. So Big Reg 409. Where's 409? Let's look up Big Reg. Where are you repping from, Big Reg? Oh, that you in Texas. Southeast Texas, Beaumont, Port Arthur, Galveston. Okay. You riding dirty down there, huh? Port Arthur, Texas. Okay, Beaumont. All my true hip hop heads know what I'm talking about. Which group is out of Port Arthur, Texas? If you're a true hip hop fan, you should know that. All right. Let's keep this thing going. Oh, I didn't do Amari stats. So 2020, let's do his stats real quick. 6'4", 295 pounds. He's probably over or right teetering 300 pounds, but still mobile. You compare him next to, I think, Jaheim, who's 325. You know, that's a run stopper. You got a guy like Amari McNeil playing off him, 295 pounds, and can make some moves. You know, and that's another thing. What made Warren Sapp so good is he actually had moves, right? And he's trying to teach these guys his moves. What I would love to see from a guy like Amari McNeil is to be because using his speed and the fact that if he has the bend, right, even though he's 6'4", to bend and get up under defensive linemen and do work, I want to see these guys pick up some of the moves that Coach Sapp had, which is what made him one of the greatest up there, top 5 defensive tackles in NFL history. Absolute dog. All right, 25 solo tackles. I'm sorry, 25 total tackles, 12 solo, 3.5 sacks. Oh yeah, he's getting sacks from the defensive tackle position. So Amari McNeil, how are you guys liking this right now? Okay, Big Reg 409 says UGK, obviously. Right? Pimp C and Bun B. Pocket full of stones. Riding dirty. All right. My hip hop fans know. Okay, let's keep this thing going. Well, let's go to the DBs. We got more positions here to fill. Let's talk about these DBs now. Starting opposite DJ McKinney, I think it's RJ Johnson right now coming out of spring ball. He's another guy who's impressive in terms of the measurables like size, his stature. All these guys are working their tails off in the weight room, getting stronger, getting better. But he's a transfer from, I believe, Arkansas. Let's look at RJ for a second. Transfer out of Arkansas. Let's look at his 247 sports. He played corner in high school, 3-star recruit. I think he played corner in high school, but was recruited as a safety to go to Arkansas, I believe. But he always wanted to play corner. I think he played wide receiver as well, so really athletic. And Prime recruited him because he recruited to Arkansas to play safety, brought him over as a safety because they needed depth in the safety room. But this year he's making the transition to corner. So far, he's impressed. Playing opposite DJ McKinney, this year, he's going to be the DJ McKinney to Travis Hunter last year, right? So DJ McKinney on the opposite side, a lot of people not going to be throwing over there. They're going to be throwing to RJ Johnson. So he's been playing really well in spring ball. He's been getting first team reps. Now you have to remember, prior to transferring, my starting cornerback was Colton Hood. And when Colton transferred, it gave RJ a huge opportunity to make that spot his own. And so that Colton Hood loss was a big loss. Big Red says he has Tion Parks. Okay. I can't fight over that a whole lot. I can't fight over that a whole lot. So I think this is where sometimes Prime gets criticism where he's rich in certain areas. I think Colorado is rich in DBs by virtue of the fact that he's Coach Prime. And that's a good thing. Same thing like we're rich across the defensive line. It's probably because of Coach Sapp. Right? Everybody wants to play for him. So you got a lot of defensive line depth. Wide receivers. Everybody wants to play for Coach Prime, be a wide receiver, because they're going to learn how to beat corners. And Coach Prime is recruiting the dogs because he wants to put points up on the board. So I cannot disagree with the Tion Parks comparison. It's going to be a battle, though. But I personally would start RJ Johnson right now, post spring ball. But all opinions are welcome and respected. Old school, you agree with them. All right. Says we lost one dog at safety, but got two. Yeah, we have two really good players in that safety. Oh, okay. So, I was doing this and then I forgot I was doing it. I'm just vibing with y'all. Let's put it here. Remember how I was talking about Kylan Salter? Let's go ahead and put T Parks right here. Could mess up my whole starting lineup. Right? So you guys got RJ John. Okay, we'll put Tion Parks right here. We lost one dog at safety, but got two. Okay, yeah, the transfers, right? Love and Slaughter. Love out of Auburn and Slaughter out of Tennessee. Is that who you talking about? Okay, man, let's keep going. Appreciate you guys joining us. We're celebrating 400 subscribers. You see, I got the shades on. I'm throwing the watch up. ICH Inc. says, I'm rocking with you, my brother. I like the content and how you distribute it. Okay, I got it. I appreciate that. Hey, listen, man, I'm honing my craft right now. You guys are watching me right in front of you figure this thing out. All right, linebacker. No, let's keep it. We got more positions here. So we got the whole line. Are you guys feeling this line? Would you start this line? I start that line all day. Nickel, of course. We got none other than Mr. Preston Hodge. Let me just go P Hodge here. I think that's the first video I'm going to react to when I react to Broncos country edits. Now, whose highlights do you guys want me to react to first? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Whose Colorado highlight tape from 2024? Or whose highlight tape, period? It could be Joseph Williams at Tulsa, DeKalen Taylor at Incarnate Word, Caden Salter at Liberty. Anybody. Whose highlight tape should I react to first? Whose highlight tape should I react to first? So I have Preston Hodge right here, our nickel from last year. I'm liking this matchup against Big 12 wide receivers. We got a tough schedule, y'all. So these three guys We're going to have to see Georgia Tech. We're going to have to see Iowa State. We're going to have to see Kansas State. Let me pull up the roster. Not roster, schedule. All right. I'm putting together a defense to try to stop the following teams, okay? Let's see. I know I did a video on the toughest game on the schedule, but I'm going to just look up the schedule right now. If you haven't checked that video out, you can check it out. The ones that I think that are going to be the toughest. Why is it trying to sell me tickets right now? All right. So Colorado Buffaloes. This defense that I'm putting together, they're going to have to see Georgia Tech, heavy run team, Delaware. I don't know what they run. Houston. I don't know what they run. Wyoming. BYU comes back to town. Now, that from a defensive perspective, team perspective, a lot of new guys playing together. They're gonna have to gel, right? Hopefully, you want them to gel by game 1, but you definitely want them playing their best football by game 5. If they come out of the gate just absolutely smashing people, that's great. Does that usually happen? I don't know, right? Not all the time, and you don't want to count on it happening like that. So, but by at least this BYU game, hopefully, this starting 11 is playing their best football, and this combination of DJ McKee, Justin Hodge, and RJ Johnson are holding down the secondary. All right. So far, so good. Big Red says, I like the lineup so far. It's going to get greater later, 409, believe me. All right. So we good. We're creeping up there in terms of a team. Now, let me keep going with this schedule because this schedule is crazy. All right. Now, here's the stretch right here. This is game 5. It's BYU. Now, look at the stretch that they have to play for the rest of the season from game 5, which is why I'm saying it is absolutely critical that this team, this defense that we're putting together here is playing their best football by game 5. Here's the run. Here's the gauntlet. BYU, TCU, Iowa State, Utah, Arizona, West Virginia, and Arizona State. By the time game 5 hits, all your easiest games are behind you, and every team that you play is a potential Big 12 competitor, including the current Big 12 champion, Arizona State. So because there are so many teams in the Big 12, the teams that we played last year, like the Baylors of the world, are not on. Oh, I didn't even say. Last game of the season, Kansas State. So some of the teams that we played last year where there were great games, right? The classic Baylor game, bomb to Hail Mary to Wester, he catches the ball, goes to overtime. Travis Hunter causes the fumble. Best football game of the 2025 season. We're not playing them. We're playing a murderer's row of Big 12 contenders. So when we're talking about Teion Parks disrupting this, the level at which these guys are going to need to play to win that Big 12 championship, if he's at that level, then that's a great addition to the team, and he fully replaces Colton Hood. All right, let me give you guys another guy on this side. And it's somebody in the edge room, and I'm going to go with Q. Transfer from LSU. You know, defensive lines are going to rotate, right? And right behind Arden Walker and or Sam Okunlola in terms of a player who nobody's really thinking about, but has, in my opinion, been getting progressively better, is Quincy Wiggins. I just want to look at his measurables here. Quincy Wiggins. Are y'all enjoying the show? That's all I want to know. Are you enjoying the show? Cut the dreads. Came to Colorado with the dreads. Does that mean anything? I think it's the same thing. He must know something we don't know. Changed his look. I think he's coming in more focused than ever. He understands that this is his season. It has to be his season. Otherwise, you start to question such a big, exciting transfer when he transferred in. I expected, in my personal opinion, that he would see more action last year. Didn't really get much run. And now this year, coaches are talking to him and giving him the green dot in the helmet. So basically, they're giving him a leadership position on the defense by having the mic in his helmet, meaning that not only can he play, he can receive the plays, but he can also play with the coach's voice in his head. Right. So he could make his own decisions. He can see the field. He could read the offense, but he also has the coach. He has the coach's voice in his ear, and he needs to be communicating that to the rest of the team. So that's my guy right there. Anything less than that, right? Really being a disruptor this year, you start to question whether, the excitement about his transfer to Colorado is misplaced. All right. Let's see. What y'all in here talking about? TCU got so many corners, all them boys over 6'4", 6 foot. Okay. I don't know much about TCU. We're gonna be doing scouting reports on here too. All of them over 6 foot. So Colorado has some big corners too. I know Vickers, 6-footer. RJ Johnson, 6-footer. DJ McKinney, 6-footer. I think Preston Hodge is like 5'10". Big Reg. If I had my choice, I would move RJ back to free safety and Parks at corner because he's physical. That's what we're talking about, right? You mean coming up in run support? Yeah, you need somebody on the corner who's not scared to come up and make a play. And then you got to make those wide receivers question catching the ball against you. Even if you can't break up the pass, you're still going to hit them. Old School says we are going to beat the brakes off of Kansas State. You know what? This is football, man. Kansas State is not a slouch. Kansas State is not a slouch. Last game of the Big 12 season, they're going to be 12-0. Okay, Old School. Dang, Old School is – I love it. Gualo. Second half of the season, we're getting a crappy version. Would have been better earlier in the season. Okay, Keaton Wade is that guy, defensive end. Look at his stats. He only played 5 games last year. Yeah, Keaton Wade. But now you're starting to get, again, a reminder, depth on the D-line and depth in the cornerback room. Let's have a real conversation here because we can have a lot of disruptors here. I don't doubt what you're saying, Reg. I don't doubt it for a second, but isn't that part of the problem that we got depth in certain rooms and concerns in others? So let's name, let's go to the linebackers. I think we brought in Reggie Hughes. So these are our 2 linebackers. French and Hughes. Are these the 2 guys we could go 12-0 with according to Old School? Right? Because we have an embarrassment of riches on the defensive line and in the cornerback room. But what about our linebackers and safeties? To Big Reg's point, should RJ go back to safety? I mean, he is an athlete. In exchange for Teion Parks, I'm sure that's what they're going to figure out over the summer. But now you're talking about good problems to have, right? But I don't think RJ wants that, right? Because football is about practice. You got to practice a position all the time, right? See the field from 20 yards back, But I'm confident in what we have at safety too. So I don't think nobody in the safety room is going to give RJ an easy pass and try to take their job. All right, let's talk about Mr. Hughes real quick. Mr. Hughes. And then I'll come back to your comments. Let me just pull up Reggie Hughes real quick. What y'all talking about in the chat, man? Let me see what's going on. All right. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right. Reginald Hughes, Jacksonville Gamecocks transfer. Junior. A lot of these juniors that are playing right now, they know they got something to prove. They're trying to get to the league this year. I think that's why a lot of these players are here. Of course, the younger guys, the sophomores and younger, even the Jordan Seatons, they're going to be back next year. But some of these guys are trying to get to the league this year if they can. And Reggie Hughes has to be one of those guys. 6'2", 230 pounds, out of Tunica, Mississippi. Way down in the South. Mississippi, are you in the house? Is Mississippi in the house right now? Let me know if you're from Mississippi. All right, yeah, Keaton Wade. Yeah, I agree. For the last 2 seasons, we started off 4-0. I don't understand your point. I think that's you and Gualo going at it. 6 foot. I think that's TCU. TLP Sports Club, man. Hey, listen, man. There's sometimes, you just gotta, when certain people step up in your live stream, you just gotta pay homage. This is my guy, Harry Billions from TLP Sports Club here in the chat. Welcome, my brother. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. New York is definitely in the house. All right. So if you guys don't know this, TLP Sports Club, a major Colorado Buffaloes content creator, the guy who I really started watching and then coming on his live stream and having conversations with before I decided to start this channel. So welcome, man. I think maybe you might have been subscriber number 1. I don't know. Many of the early subscribers on this channel came from my relationship with Harry Billions over at TLP Sports. So salute to you, sir. I got the shades on today. Last time I think I was on your show, I was at 300 and something subs. We're right now celebrating over 400. You've always encouraged me, man. Always show me love. So welcome to the chat. All right. It's about to get live now. When Harry B is in the chat, it's about to get ugly. All right, Harry B, you see my roster right now. This is who I have starting on defense. So I have Arden Walker, Jaheim Otis, Amari McNeil, and Sam O. And then at linebackers, Martavius French, Reggie Hughes. We're talking about Mr. Hughes right now, so let's get into it. Jacksonville State, 2024, 83 tackles. So I think French had 80, 32 solo, 51 assists, and he had 4.5 sacks. So he's a linebacker that can get to the quarterback. So I'm interested to see Rob Livingston in using linebackers to blitz this season. Because, you get a guy like Levanta Bentley, you get a guy like Nakai Hill-Green, you're more comfortable with your ability to stop the run, right? They just have the size. I think I just said French is 225 and Hughes is 230. I think Bentley and Nakai Hill-Green were probably pushing 240, 250. So you like those guys in the run game. You might not love them too much in pass coverage. And I think we got hurt a couple of times last year with the wheel route from the running back out of the backfield against Bentley. If you can get, a guy like Dylan Edwards in a mismatch with the 2 linebackers from last year trying to cover Dylan Edwards, it's going to be a problem. But with these guys, maybe that's what you gain. You gain linebackers who may be a little bit smaller, but you could use them to blitz, and then you can use them in the pass game. So big shout out to Reggie Hughes transferring here from Jacksonville State. All right, let me go back. I think I ran through this real quick. Okay, I think I'm up to date on my comments. All right, let's keep this thing moving. We only got a couple more positions to tackle. Strong safety, kid out of South Florida, I believe, Mr. Bayard. think. Tawfiq Bayard. Oh, let me go back here. You see, the problem is that name just reminded me of somebody else. Tawfiq Thomas. And I said we're going to talk about summer workouts as well. I think now that I'm putting him here, I'm pivot to summer workouts before I finish up this roster. All right. So I just added Tawfiq Bayard. He plays like a man with his head on fire. So, I don't watch UCF games. I just watched Colorado games last year. I might react to Tawfiq Bayard's highlight tape. So I'm going to see if I can collaborate with Bronco Edits and we can do a video on Tawfiq Bayard. But he's in the backfield, man. You would think safeties, you find them in coverage, or they'd be hanging out 15 yards, 12 yards past the line of scrimmage, or if you're a box safety, bringing you down in the box where you're on the second level. Nah. Tawfiq Bayard plays on the other side of the ball. He's a safety that's going to get you tackles for loss because his read and react is out of control. Hold on, let me find his stats. Yeah, he's coming downhill and he's making a play. And I am very, very high on Tawfiq Bayard. I think he doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion. But you guys are going to find out that we got a dog in Tawfiq. So, for those who suggested that RJ go back to safety, I don't think he's taking Tawfiq's spot. Mr. Tawfiq Bayard played for the South Florida Bulls. He's a transfer sophomore, so he played his freshman season, played his sophomore season where he had his best season of college football, and so he'll be a junior this year, unless he took a red shirt his freshman year, which I don't know and I can't see here. Sophomore, 6'1", again another over 6 foot player in Coach Prime secondary, 200 pounds, out of York, Pennsylvania. In 2024, he had 54 tackles, 34 of those were solo. He also had 2 sacks. So you could blitz Mr. Bayard. Like I said, he plays on the other side of the football, man. If you watch his highlight tape, he is making plays in the backfield from safety. And I love that kind of football, man. You don't see that kind of football anymore from a safety who is like a threat from anywhere on the field. TLP says, I gotta admit, I've done a deep dive on this team. Harry, Big Red says, Harry, how many linebackers you want to see you play in dime on 3rd and long? That's 6 DBs, 1 linebacker. Oh, who's going to be the person in coverage? The question is who is about that life and who will stay healthy. Yeah, health in football is critical. All right, now I said I would talk about Tawfiq here because I talked about Tawfiq here. But Tawfiq Thomas, man. Not saying that he's going to start. I'm saying he's going to be an impact player. He was a transfer from Louisville, if I remember. And so that's not a slouch program. And now he has 2 years with Coach Sapp. And talking about summer workouts, he's probably one of the players in the best shape on that team going into summer workouts. I mean, the challenge that Coach Swayze has been putting those guys up to and trying to figure out if they have not just the physical fitness, but the mental fitness to deal with fatigue. Because there's a saying that says, fatigue makes cowards of us all. And if you're not in shape, man, you can't play football. All right, TLP, always coaching. All right, he says, hey, Pekin, don't forget to chop this into opposed clips into shorts when you don't schedule them for the next couple of weeks. What's up, Harry B? Yeah, I appreciate the advice. I'm gonna have to email you, man, so we could talk through the details. Hopefully, that's something I need to do. But thank you, Harry B, always trying to help me improve the channel, improve the viewer experience. All right, so I think somebody knew there was only one more position to fill and kind of knew which direction I was going because they just mentioned this name in the chat. None other than Mr. Robert Woolcock, my guy straight out of Negril, Jamaica. So Robert is one of my favorite people to engage with on my videos. Thank you so much for being highly engaged, Robert. Every time he's like, big up yourself, big up yourself, big up yourself. So big up Robert Woolcock. Thank you so much for being here. And you have Love or Stoudemire will be the other safety. So let's call that other safety. And I think I'm tracking with you on the free safety position because that's who I have here. I think that's how you spell his name. Carter Stoudemire. If he keeps lifting weights, he's going to end up being a linebacker. Like, that dude is swole and he's athletic. And guess what? He's going to be another DB on Coach Prime team that's going to be over 6 foot. So to Gaucho's point that TCU has some big corners, I think Colorado is also proving that we have some big guys in the secondary. Because I think everybody who I've named as starters, except for Preston Hodge, is over 6 foot. All right, safety, Colorado Buffalo. Oh, wait a minute. I thought he was a 6 footer. Okay, he at least looked, he's 5'11", 205 pounds, out of Plano, Texas. 2024, he was used all over the field. There were situations where guys were hurt. Carter will be seen playing corner, playing nickel, or playing safety. And in games where Shiloh went down in 2024 and Carter stepped up, he played very well. He played very well. Some of his best games, Texas Tech again, 2 tackles. Utah, Kansas, he had 7 tackles in that game. Oklahoma State, he had 4 tackles, and BYU, he had 4 tackles. So big shout out. Carter Stoudemire is my other starter. Oh, Big Reg, he doesn't like that. Big Reg was praying. Dang, it's Sunday too, Big Reg. My bad. I put Carter Stoudemire here. Gualo says if he keeps lifting weights, he's basically Bentley or Nakai Hill Green. Problem with those two is they couldn't run sideline to sideline. Yeah, or you might even say Trevor Woods. But nah, I think Carter Stoudemire is a much better athlete than that. And I think he wants to play in the secondary. I don't think he wants to play linebacker. I think, he's 200 pounds, so he's not heavy. He's just a very muscular guy, right? So he appears like he could be 220, but that's because he's just a very muscular, he has a muscular build. All right, so we're about to be wrapping this thing up shortly, man. You guys have been rocking with me for the better part of an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to shut it down and try to get ready for the week. So a couple of other guys I want to mention here on the defense. Let's look at this roster. Before we wrap it up, who else do we think? Oh, yeah, let me show love to I've heard great things about, I know we talked about Keaton Wade. Keaton Wade should be on here. Mr. Wade should definitely be on here. Who else? Let's see this roster. Oh, freshmen? Yeah, let's put 2 freshmen to wrap this thing up on the defensive side of the ball. So another defensive end, Mr. London Merritt. I think he could be an impact freshman this year. on the defensive end. And I don't know who would be an impact freshman that's not on the defensive line, but in the defense this year. I can't name one off the top of my head. I think we have a lot more freshmen ready to play on the offensive side of the ball than we do on the defensive side of the ball. Guys, give me the last person who you think is going to be an impact player this year, freshman on the defense, that's not on the defensive line. And then we will wrap this thing up. I'm looking at the roster right now. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know. I'm trying to think of somebody. Oh, yes. I got it. I don't think y'all going to guess who I'm going to put. Oh, yeah, Robert Wilcox. You got it. Impact freshman. Free safety, TJ Branch. Out of Miami, Florida. Had a phenomenal spring game. Comes up in run support, short tackler, and then he got an interception off of a tip pass. Probably had the best game, in my personal opinion, best spring game on the defensive side of the ball. So, all right, y'all. Y'all have held me down. Y'all got me to 400 subscribers. Y'all have been watching the videos, engaging with the videos, sharing the videos. Big shout out to David Talks Buffs, another big Colorado content creator that came through on one of my videos and showed love. Who else? I got subscribers with big channels. So let me shout a couple of them out. Yeah. So some of your comments throughout the week, reacting to my video about ranking Colorado's toughest games. Robert Wilcox says the toughest game is Georgia Tech. I mean, it's the first game and our first opportunity to see what we have in this Colorado Buffaloes team. So yeah, just going into the season, Georgia Tech. Who else? Blessed 12123 says, I just subbed. I like the show. It's O time now, and he's gonna cook them in the Big 12 this year. Yeah, that was a reaction to my video on Omarion Miller as wide receiver 1. I have him winning the Biletnikoff, or no, not winning, as a finalist for that award. I won't go out on a limb and say winning right now, but I think he's going to have a plus 1,000-year season receiving. Probably like 85 catches. All right, guys. So, yeah. I appreciate y'all. Otis better. Yeah, Otis has something to prove. Great show. Hit the like button on the way out. Appreciate y'all. CU beats Georgia Tech. They're winning the conference. Dang. Okay. All right, Harry B. 1 game is the whole season. Yeah, y'all been showing love. 400. We got like 30,000 plus views. You know, the live is going crazy. So I will be back. So here's the schedule, right? Going forward. 2 videos during the week. And then a live session on the weekend. So the live session is about community building, coming in here, talking about the things that matter to y'all. So appreciate you guys so much. I'm going to call it a night. Stay tuned. Stay locked in. Until next time. Peace.